What's going on, everyone? Ash here with a news update on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Series creator and director Masahiro Sakurai is back with another column in the latest issue of Japanese gaming magazine Famitsu, with this one going into detail on some of the information revealed in the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct on August 8th. As always, the folks over at Nintendo Everything have translated this latest column, allowing us to summarize the contents within for you right here. We'll only be hitting the key points in this summary though, so make sure to check out the full column if you want to know every last detail. You can find a link to Nintendo Everything's translated column in full in the video description below. And with that, let's get this summary started. The first thing to note is that even though this column is all about the Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct on August 8th, Sakurai actually wrote it just before the Direct aired, and he mentions this in the context of looking forward to everyone's reactions. To start, Sakurai briefly delves into the topic of the Castlevania series being incorporated into Smash for the first time. He says bringing Castlevania into the fray was a huge hurdle to overcome, but that he did his best despite that, citing elements like Simon and Richter, their whip physics, the Alucard assist trophy, and not only the Dracula's Castle stage itself, but also its 34 music tracks and the Castlevania boss characters who make appearances there. He also says he put everything he had into making the full-length reveal trailer for Simon and Richter, and even predicted there would be a lot of people who said, "Huh? Who's Richter?" after watching it. On a personal note, I can confirm that Sakurai's prediction was right on the money here. I watched quite a few reaction videos by various folks in the Smash community, including a couple of so-called Castlevania fans, and most of them had no idea who Richter is. Sakurai then moves on to the topic of Echo Fighters, and this is where things start to get quite interesting. Turning his focus to the new addition of Chrom and Dark Samus to the roster, Sakurai says both have been highly requested fighters, but in different regions of the world, with most of the support for Chrom originating within Japan and Dark Samus being a popular request overseas, which in Sakurai's case means the United States and Europe. Delving into the topic of Echo Fighters in general, Sakurai says they aren't just basic substitutes for other characters and that a lot more work goes into creating them than you might think. Not only do Echo Fighters naturally require the basics like different taunts and victory poses, Sakurai and his team also go in and change other aspects of their gameplay when they feel it necessary. But he also says people tend to overlook each fighter's key art as part of the overall character creation process. Even though these are just still images of the characters posing, Sakurai says there's a lot of fine-tuning that goes into finalizing even a single character's key art, to say nothing of the 8 color variations for each fighter that the team also has to account for. Sakurai then turned his attention to Smash Bros. Ultimate's gargantuan roster of stages, reiterating the Direct's reveal that the total number of stages has been cranked up to 103, or 104 if you include the training stage, and over 300 if you count each stage's final destination and battlefield forms. And in hindsight, Sakurai says, stage development has been one of the most time-consuming aspects of Smash Bros. Ultimate's creation. And indeed, according to Sakurai, there were some stages that took over a year to develop. Even though the team was mostly porting over returning stages from previous Smash games, updating the graphics for those stages significantly added to their workload. Sakurai then goes on to add that developing the final destination and battlefield versions of each stage wasn't as simple as one might think either, and that achieving that 100-stage milestone was difficult with their strained development staff. Next, the topic shifts to the staggering number of music tracks in Smash Bros. Ultimate, around 800 tunes if you're only counting music heard in the stages alone, which equates to over 27 hours of songs to smash to. Of course, Sakurai notes that this number includes the accumulation of all the music returning from previous Smash games, but that it's still nothing to scoff at and that they must have been gunning for a Guinness World Record. Sakurai does want to make something clear though. Smash Bros. Ultimate isn't just stuffed with music alone. Due to advancements in compression technology, he says, they were able to compress Smash Bros. Ultimate's entire soundtrack to a mere 1/4 of the size of Smash Bros. Wii U's soundtrack while maintaining the same sound quality. Moving on, Sakurai then delves into some of the new gameplay modes that were revealed in the August 8th Direct, such as Squad Strike, Smashdown, and Tournament mode, mentioning that these modes were created in order to give players more ways to utilize the full character roster. Sakurai then briefly summarizes the Squad Strike mode, defining it as a 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 style mode in which players can either face off in a knockout-style tournament incorporating multiple participants, or in a battle between 2 players and their lineups of chosen fighters. While the former is a style often seen in martial arts like Kendo or Judo, Sakurai notes, the latter allows the winner of each match to keep using the same fighter until they lose. Sakurai then touches on the brand new Final Smash Meter option, which is set to off by default. He compares this feature to traditional fighting games, which often include a gauge that fills up over time and allows players to unleash some kind of super combo or finishing move when full, and says that the Final Smash Meter was intended to imitate that mechanic. As you might expect, the shocking addition of King K.Rool to the roster is Sakurai's final topic of the column, and it's here that he drops an eye-opening bit of knowledge on us. When choosing which characters would make the cut for the Smash Bros. Ultimate roster, Sakurai says, they used the infamous character survey for Smash Wii U and 3DS as reference. King K.Rool was ultimately found to be one of the most popular characters in that survey, leading to his inclusion in Smash Bros. Ultimate. But he still wanted to leave room for imagination in terms of how King K.Rool might play, so for his reveal, Sakurai didn't really explain his moveset or the character's idiosyncrasies in general. Wrapping up, Sakurai goes on to mention that he based King K.Rool's fighter concept on the idea that he, and I quote, stands upright. But because of the height limit applying to fighters across the board, he had to make the king a little smaller compared to his appearance in the Donkey Kong Country series, meaning he's not exactly to scale. In closing, Sakurai says final preparations for the game have been keeping him and his team quite busy, but that he has every intention of giving it his all until the day Smash Bros. Ultimate is released on December 7th. And that's a wrap for our summary of Sakurai's latest Famitsu column as translated by Nintendo Everything. Once again, be sure to check out the translated column in full on Nintendo Everything's website, which you can find a link to in the video description below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Smash Bros. Ultimate, the Nintendo Switch, and all things gaming.